Pippen versus Jordan, the saddest beef in NBA history. So y'all let me know if I'm wrong, but I think ever since the release of The Last Dance, that's kind of where their relationship kind of went downhill, right? And I've seen some clips of Scotty like on shows and stuff, calling him like a trash player and shit like that. So is it fair to say that they hate each other now? Let's just get into the video, man. It'll explain everything in here, I guess.
Do you think that Michael Jordan would be as successful without you?
No.
Crazy.
2009,
Crazy.
when Michael Jordan entered the Basketball Hall of Fame, the first person he mentioned and thanked was Scottie Pippen.
You never just saw me, saw Scottie Pippen.
Next year, it was Michael who presented Scottie to the Hall of Fame. When Pippen worked on ESPN and had to do a LeBron versus Jordan comparison, Pippen said this.
And there's no game that I would ever play in and pick LeBron James over Michael Jordan.
But this was in 2018, when Scottie and Michael's relationship seemed like the happiest marriages.
Makes sense.
While Jordan was known to be a harsh teammate,
Damn.
bullied players,
You about to
and
elbow
punched
the
Steve
shit out
Kerr
of
in the
him.
face. We never heard those kinds of stories about Scottie. And then came the pandemic, and the sporting world stopped.
He has just tweeted within the past 2 minutes that the NBA is suspending the season.
Deprived of anything to cheer for, Netflix offered a 10-episode salvation for all sports fans. It was The Last Dance, a long-awaited documentary about the last season of the Bulls dynasty, with behind-the-scenes footage nobody had ever seen before. And when the documentary came out, that's when Scottie's and Michael Jordan's relationship started to change.
Almost 3
See,
years
The
ago
Last
it
Dance
came out?
wasn't really a basketball documentary. It was more like basketball was just a means to an end, and where historic NBA events were used to tell a preset narrative. And that narrative was to glorify the cult of Michael Jordan.
Wasn't this the time around where LeBron was about to pass the scoring record? And they said that that's why they released this to remind people, like, you know, of Jordan's greatness and his dominance and stuff like that, bro. Like a little petty move, you know, to say, fuck LeBron. MJ's still the GOAT.
His place as the basketball GOAT. The Last Dance presented basketball in a way that can be understood by non-basketball fans and casuals. It was directed in a way that puts an individual over a team, which is not surprising, considering that director Jason Hare needed Jordan's approval to make the film, and that Jordan's presence in the film was conditioned by his control over the content. The Last Dance minimized the roles of Jordan's teammates, not properly explaining that MJ had by far the best supporting cast in the NBA. The documentary never mentioned that Steve Kerr was the most accurate three-point shooter of all time, that Horace Grant made 4 all-defensive teams, or that Tony Kukoc was the best European player and the most versatile power forward in the NBA. The doc barely mentioned a defensive ace Ron Harper, and they completely failed to say a single thing about center Luke Longley. Dennis Rodman got a lot of screen time, but much less as the best rebounder in NBA history, and more of a party animal that Jordan needed to drag by the ears.
The hell was that?
Rebounder in NBA history, and more of a party animal.
Bro, I need to do a reaction video to some of the craziest shit Rodman's done.
Jordan needed to drag by the ears from Carmen Electra's hotel room. But the player who was most heard about the whole thing was Scottie Pippen, and it's not hard to see why.
I had a ruptured tendon in my ankle, and I decided to have surgery late because I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna my summer up trying to rehab for a season.
Scottie Pippen of the Bulls will be out for 2 to 3 months.
What Scottie was trying to do was trying to force management to change his contract. And Jerry wasn't gonna do that.
MJ called out Pippen as being selfish for delaying surgery. That season, Jordan was making $33 million, while Scottie was earning just $2.7 million. While the second episode of the documentary did center around Scottie and his unbelievably hard road to the NBA,
that's slow as hell,
in the end,
bro.
the focus of the narrative quickly returned to MJ.
Why was he only making that much?
Jordan-centric, The Last Dance was a successful project because it achieved 3 goals. It managed to entertain and occupy the sports world in the biggest absence of sports since the 1860s. It served as a nostalgia for the people who lived through the Bulls dynasty, and it revitalized the interest in Jordan among the younger generations. If we look at the doc as an entertaining story for the masses, The Last Dance absolutely killed and knocked it out of the park. But in terms of explaining basketball nuances and strengthening relationships between the Bulls players, The Last Dance backfired completely. In May 2020,
I don't think Jordan gives a shit about that
aired,
now. You know what I mean?
Jordan sent a rare text to Scottie Pippen. "What's up, dude? I'm getting a word that you're upset with me. Love to talk about it if you have time. Pippen did call him back and explained his displeasure with how the rest of the Bulls were portrayed. When asked about it, Scottie backtracked a little bit. "This documentary has not changed our relationship. We will be friends forever." I told Michael I wasn't too pleased with The Last Dance. He accepted it. He said, "Hey, you're right. That was pretty much it." But it wasn't it, and this comment aged badly really quickly. In 2021, Pippen started to unravel his feelings about Jordan,
1 year
issuing
later.
a series of comments during the promotion of his autobiography titled Unguarded, about how Jordan used to cheat him out of $100 during each Bulls game by bribing the staff to tell him who was going to win Jumbotron races. During a GQ interview, Pip accused Jordan of being selfish for leaving the Bulls to pursue a baseball career.
What did you think when he said he was going to go play baseball?
Yeah, it was a big decision, but it was a selfish decision, but it was kind of
I mean,
who
yeah,
Michael Jordan was.
Implying that he spent too
that's
much
his
time
life,
grieving
bro.
the
How do you
death
call
of
that
his
so
father.
selfish?
Scottie also downplayed Jordan's flu game, saying that he didn't receive any praise for playing the 1998 finals with a herniated disc. But the biggest criticism about Jordan the player was when Pippen said that the Bulls didn't win 6 rings because of MJ, and that they did it in spite of him.
What?
Seeing again how poorly Michael treated his teammates, I cringed, as I did
Come on,
back
Scotty.
then. We didn't win 6 championships because he was tough with the guys. We won in spite of his bullying. We won because we played team basketball, which hadn't been the case my first 2 seasons when Doug Collins was our coach. In his book, Scottie also
I thought he meant they won, like they would have won regardless of him, not of his antics and, you know, the way he treated his teammates. Okay.
Perspective on the LeBron versus Jordan debate. I may go as far as to say Mike ruined basketball. In the 80s on the playground,
what?
You'd have everyone moving the ball around, passing to help the team. That stopped in the 90s. Kids wanted to be like Mike. And Mike didn't want to pass, didn't want to rebound, or defend the best player.
Bro, how many Like, come on.
He wanted everything done for him. That's why I always believed LeBron James was the greatest player this game has ever seen.
I mean, that's a fair
he
point.
Does everything and embodies what the game is truly
I get
about.
it, but
the rest of the book was even more critical about Jordan and The Last Dance, saying that every episode was the same. Michael on a pedestal, his teammates secondary, referred to as his supporting cast. Michael could shoot 6 for 24 from the field, commit 5 turnovers, and he was still.
I mean, Scotty, bro, when he's the best player of all time, that's kind of the shit that you expect. Any movie, any show, you know, anything of that nature regarding him, of course he's going to be the star. He's going to be the focus point of that thing, and everything else is going to be, you know, supporting to him. I think Scotty just got tired of, you know, being in the shadow or being like, you know, second to him. He got tired of being, you know, the Robin, even though he's great. But when you're with Batman, you're never going to be the best. You know what I mean? I think that's
in the minds of the
really the case.
Press and public, the
he's always felt that, and then
Scotty
with The Last Dance, that just like pushed it to the next level.
$10 million for his involvement in the documentary, while he and the rest of the Bulls got nothing. Pip wasn't done there. He also unloaded on Phil Jackson during an interview with Dan Patrick.
No, I understand that, Scotty. I'm just going by what you said. You said you need to read between the fine lines. It was a racial move to give Tony Kukoc a rise.
So, I mean, if you knew that Scottie Pippen had been with the Bulls from '87, wouldn't you give Scottie Pippen one opportunity to get a last-second shot without Michael Jordan?
But have you talked to Phil about this? Because by saying a racial move, then you're calling Phil a racist.
I don't got a problem with that.
Scotty took shots at Charles Barkley, calling him not dedicated enough to win a title, and Isaiah Thomas,
might be in that
player.
midlife crisis stage.
However, while we do agree that The Last Dance was...
Wow, I just thought of that. That came out, so all the feelings he had, now it's being brought back to light, maybe elevated to a new level. Lost his wife, got with Jordan's son. Jordan, you know, has been, you know, kind of shadowing him his whole career, bro. I think all of that just piled up, and he exploded.
It's overly centered on Jordan, and that there is a lot of truth in Pippen's words about the documentary. We can't escape the feeling that Scotty overreacted.
I mean, yeah, that's true, bro. But I mean, that's expected.
There is no
like
Jordan
I said,
without Pippen. The Last Dance covered how underrated Pippen was, and his success as the leader of the Bulls without Jordan. Phil Jackson called Scottie the second best player in the league, and the doc mentioned Pippen guarding Magic in the '91 finals instead of Jordan, a key moment that turned the series around. So for Scottie to be going on this kind of media rampage, it just feels like a bit too much. We understand that it's hard to be the Robin to Jordan's Batman and live constantly in his shadow, and then relive that all over again in the documentary. But after the dust settled and all the insults had landed, it sounds like Pippen was just trying to say outlandish quotes to sell more copies of his book. And throughout all of Pippen's bad-mouthing, Jordan never said another word publicly. There was no statement, trash-talking, or even acknowledging that Pippen suddenly turned into his biggest hater. It was only a sign that all the bridges were burned and that their relationship was broken beyond repair. To add insult to injury, in 2022, MJ's son Marcus Jordan started dating Scottie's ex-wife, Larsa Pippen.
That's crazy as hell, bro.
Which certainly didn't feel good for her ex-husband.
That's crazy.
Wherever Scottie looked, Jordan was sticking it to a Pippen. And it seems like his anger towards MJ, or his ex-wife,
Larsa bro, that's fucked up.
Which certainly didn't feel good for her ex-husband. Wherever Scottie looked, Jordan was sticking it to a Pippen. And it seems like his anger towards MJ will not stop anytime soon.
Oh man, so I mean, honestly, I think Scottie was just going through a hard time, you know, and all this shit just kept piling up, and then finally it got to a level where he just couldn't take it no more. You know, he started spazzing out, going crazy. But I mean, I see his point of view from things, right? Because he was a great player, but he was just always in the shadow, and it sucks. Like, if he wasn't playing with Jordan, who knows what the perception of him would have been now, right? But when you're playing with the GOAT, bro, like that's kind of things are expected to go. You know what I mean? And of course, Jordan is not the type of guy, you know, to like, I feel like talk things out with him one-on-one as a man and figure shit out. You know, I honestly don't think Jordan gives a shit, bro. Like, we know off the court, he's always been, you know, kind of ruthless and just kind of business, you know, driven, I would say, you know. So I really don't think he gives a shit about all this. He'll just continue to keep doing him. I don't think Scottie is gonna continue, you know, endlessly to say this type of shit. I think he's gonna reach a point where he's gonna calm down and, you know, he's gonna say that he was wrong for saying some of the stuff he did. But y'all let me know what you think down below. Whose side are you on? Do you agree with Scottie and how he views it and stuff like that? And if you have anything else you want me to react to, leave it down below. But that's gonna do it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.